And the fourth one, probably the most familiar one, is comment 3. We all know what the traditional model of comment is on a newspaper. You think of the New York Times and you think Paul Krugman, Morning Dad, Bridge, and Tom Friedman, and they're all wonderful columnists we would all die having on our newspapers. But if it's foreign affairs, you're probably going to get Tom Friedman. I've actually got Roger Cohen, but it's going to be Tom Friedman or Roger Cohen. So whether it's Venezuela or Mexico or China or Russia or Africa or the Middle East, you're going to get Tom Friedman or Roger Cohen's views on that. And a couple of years ago, we just decided to invert that model. We all emptied our address books and said that can't be right, that these are the only people who are worth listening to on these subjects. There are all these people who are fantastically knowledgeable, know far more than we do on these individual subjects. And as we put all these people together and give them a platform, we're going to have something incredibly interesting and rich. And we now publish about 230 pieces a week on that, 85,000 comments. Traffic going up vertically at 9 million page views 2 million a year ago. And some incredibly interesting things happening. That 80th bus thing that you probably read about started on Comment 3 with somebody trying to raise £7,000 to get a postcard along the side of the bus, questioning whether God existed. Within 72 hours, she'd raised £187,000, and there were lots of buses going around Britain. And this is a principle that I think is, there are lots of examples now of things that was the message for Obama, where we asked people to come up with strong visual messages, not on our platform, through Flickr. It came back into the paper, and then we were publishing that in the book. It was Stephen Fry's letter to himself, the 16-year-old Stephen Fry, where he was giving himself advice as a child. And what happened was that people started, for about the first 20 posts, they were perfectly unremarkable pieces about this. And then somebody wrote a letter to himself at 16, and somebody wrote a letter to herself. And you got these remarkably frank outpourings of really wonderful content at the end, I think, which we will publish as a book. We did it again with politics, with us kicking off this debate about how politics should look, getting huge response on the individual threads, putting that back into the paper, doing a mass poll, and there are lots of other examples now in the paper of things where this is working. We just opened up. We put an open strategy where anybody can now take any of our content and do anything with it. And some do odd things like analysing all the swear words in the Guardian, and some of the beginning to use our data to do interesting things like that. So what I like about this idea of mutualized news organizations, it gets over this us against them. It becomes us and them. They couldn't do some of this stuff without us. We couldn't do most of it without them. It's blurring the line between the journalist and reader. It is breaking down perceptions, I think, of the remote, distant journalist on bed inside of power, which I think is how people still think of a lot of journalists. If it works, it should build trust because people are participating in it. It's building communities of shared interest, which I think has economic interest as well as journalistic interest. It's much more diverse and plural than a conventional newspaper. And it gives you, in an age where newspapers are going to be strapped for cash in terms of their own resource, it gives you this huge external resource, which I think is going to be an incredibly interesting thing, especially as I want to talk about mobile. So I think that's just, again, it's sort of the second part in this picture of what journalism is becoming and how we find